And can people hear me?
I can hear you. And Sean and Valley, I'm just letting you know that we've started streaming.
Great, great. All right. Let me just find our agenda and we will get rolling. And sorry, in my search for the agenda, I saw an email from you, Alicia, in answer to your question. Yes, I did get that summary done. Okay, let me just pull up the agenda. Sorry.
And Sean, in that email is the most recent and up-to-date scoring sheet as well.
Great.
We're looking for it.
All right, so yes, we have quorum now. So we will begin with our land acknowledgement. I'd like to acknowledge with respect that we are in Robinson Huron Treaty Territory, and that the lands on which we're gathered is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and known as Bao'ting. Bao'ting is home of Garden River First Nation, Batchewana First Nation, and the historic Sault Ste. Marie Métis Council. Our first item on the agenda is the adoption of minutes from the previous meeting. Can I have a member who was at the previous meeting move the minutes? Moved by Larry, seconded by Donna. Thank you both very much. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, we will move to adopt. All those in favor, please do nothing. Anybody abstaining or opposed, please indicate so in the chat or open your mic to express your intent. Seeing no opposition, the motion carries. Next item is the declaration of pecuniary interests. We have Miranda Bouchard, who's declared a conflict on item 5.2, which we've already dealt with. Brenna Thomas declared a conflict on item 5.12, which we have already dealt with. And Yasmina Jovanovic declared a conflict on items 5.19, which I think is coming up, and item 5.12, which we have already dealt with. Next, we have the adoption of the agenda. Could I have a mover? Moved by Miranda, seconded by, I think Brenna was going up there. Perfect. Thank you both very much. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor, please do nothing. Anybody abstaining or opposed, please indicate so in the chat or open your mic to express your intent. Seeing no opposition or abstentions, the motion carries unanimously. We're on to business arising. We have discussed applications from 5.1 through 5.15. We do have news that Michael Birch and Annie King, so that's items 5.14 and 5.20. They have expressed a desire to withdraw their application and with an intent to potentially resubmit at a later time. But otherwise, we will proceed with 5.16. I also wanted to take a moment to express my deep appreciation for the patience of the committee members and of city staff, who I know have been with us through a very long procedure. I think we are all aware that we have outgrown our process, and we will need something more efficient in the future. This is something that I know staff are keenly aware of, and I just want to express my sincere thanks for you sticking it out until we get that system in place to provide the applicants the review that they deserve. Next, we have DJ Cease. So with Planet Rock, this is a small project grant in the amount of $2,800. It will consist of DJ Seath and St. James, who are a duo pursuing their first physical release of an EP or vinyl record. This work will also be released digitally at the same time, and activities to support this project will take place between January and October of 2024. They have consistently actively been performing within the local music scene since 2016, whether at Rotary Fest, Second Stage, Oh No Fest, Pride Fest, or other venues throughout Algoma. Planet Rock is currently developing artwork for the album, with some recordings to be completed remaining. The group plans to enlist the design skills and graffiti artist ASEC, with design and print setting to be completed by local graphic designer Aaron Alessandrini. The completion of the project, of the recording aspect of the project, will also take place locally at Unsalted Studios. Total project to be completed by September 2024. Aspects of the completed album reflect the growing hip-hop art scene in Sault Ste. Marie, and some of the songs use historical recordings from the area and sample sources. The group plans to sell the record at upcoming shows to help strengthen their connections with other creators, manufacturers, businesses, increasing their visibility and helping to promote sustainability across the sector, as well as their own capacity for future projects. So the funds from this application, if granted, will be used to pay for the graphic artist, recording engineer, as well as costs associated with design and printing. The age demographics for the project look to be from 0 to 59, and approximately 500 to 1,000 people are likely to attend, view, listen, or be an audience for the project. We will move in the following order through. Oh, sorry. There's a question from Donna. Thank you.
Could Alicia or Virginia could you share the link to the agenda that's from the website? I just want to go back to the applications and in the simplest way possible. And I haven't been able to find it myself on the site. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you very much, Donna. I've just put the link in the chat there for you because I had it open myself. That's where I went to look for it. So apologies, I didn't catch that sooner. All right, the order that we will go in, we will start and go around with Larry. Alicia, is there anybody in the room with you? Nope. Okay. Larry, Donna, Miranda, Richard, Brenna, and then we'll alternate orders as we've done before. Larry, first comments.
I thought this was a medium application. Rap music's not my favorite, but doing album covers and that sort of thing, I'm not sure that's exactly seed, but I gave it a 9.
Thanks, Larry. No worries. Donna? No worries. If you like, I can proceed to Miranda.
No, it's okay. Sorry.
Okay.
I only have one computer in front of me, so I'm bouncing around here. I scored it at the same as Larry. I scored it as a 9. I have no questions or further comments. Thanks.
Miranda, comments?
Yes. So something that I noticed in the application is that quotes are technically needed for projects involving printing. And I don't recall seeing a quote in this application for print materials. So wondering if anybody else noticed that too. Other comments I had, it's definitely a unique project and group in the area. DJ Seath has an extensive track record of successful projects and involvement in the scene. This pair has been working together for some time, so to me it makes sense for them to take their practice to a next level. While the fees seemed a little low to me, I do appreciate the fact that folks are trying to make this project happen. It looks like a labor of love. That's certainly a very good and small investment to pave the way for future success and forward motion. Thank you.
Thanks, Miranda. Richard.
No further comments.
Thanks, Richard. Brenna.
I agree with Miranda, and I'm not sure if they illustrated this in their application, but in order to move forward to apply for SOCAN and things like that, they have to invest personally in a lot of these practices. So it's definitely an investment to get them moving forward to that point. And I thought it was a really interesting grouping. But
Thank
that's
you,
everything.
Brenna. Actually, do you mind if I ask you a question? Can you elaborate a bit on the SOCAN process? Because I'm not familiar with it.
I understand that if you wanted to start a band and get funding for touring or production or mixing or anything like that, that you have to prove a background of having invested yourself in touring. So for them to have the ability to go and apply for SOCAN, there has to be a track record of work that doesn't really, the funds aren't really clear where they come from. The
Yeah.
bands have to do the work on their own, get established, create their own funds, things like that before they're able to move up and apply for SOCAN and move forward with that. So it's a good place that they're in, and hopefully they can take these opportunities and create them to make something bigger.
Thanks you for elaborating on that, Brenna. It's really helpful for my own understanding as well. All right, any revisions to scores for this application? Seeing none, we will move on to the next application. This is item 5.17 from Douglas Bradford, watercolor paintings for Veterans Housing Project. This project is in the form of a small project grant with a request of $2,999. Local artist Doug Bradford is a Métis Ojibwe artist that strives to highlight the people, landscapes, and animals of the area in his work. Participant in the Canadian Forces Artist Program, Doug Bradford has some of his work displayed at the War Museum located in Ottawa, as well as included in the publication A Brush with War, and has toured across Canada. Doug's work is primarily watercolor paintings with a focus on Northern Ontario landscapes. The application proposes a series of watercolor paintings which will be placed throughout the common areas of the new Royal Canadian Legion apartment building on Great Northern Road to assist in the creation of a warm, inviting space that honors veterans and seniors. The implementation of the project would be marked by an opening exhibition and blessing ceremony from local veterans and Ojibwe elders from the community. The application has also selected that the project, the applicant has indicated that they meet all of the tenets of the current community cultural plan. Some benefits listed in the project include providing artwork to community area and residents. The residents of Branch 25 members and visitors will be welcomed to a space that is powerful with vibrant artwork that honors our veterans and the community of Sault Ste. Marie. The application includes opportunity for mentorship and opportunities for participants to contribute through community consultation and volunteers. We'll also have the opportunity to engage in artistic cultural processes by assisting in the installation, promotion, and participation in the opening ceremony. The applicant has selected all available age demographics for this application and estimates that attendance viewership will be between 500 and 1,000 people, with 1 to 10 people involved in the development and execution of the works or event, namely the artist in this case. We will go in reverse order this time. Brenna, any comments?
Are we required to follow their ask? I know that their ask was like 20,000. Is that the right one that I'm looking at?
Sorry, this is one of those applications that was locked for editing. And so the initial ask was a larger project. They came back reformatted And the actual ask is, I believe it was 2,999. Sorry about the confusion.
Okay, just verifying again that I'm like, that seems more reasonable
Yeah.
for this kind of project. Uh, I think it's great. I think the work is great, and any kind of production is awesome. So in terms of that aspect of it, I think it's a great project.
Great. Thanks very much, Brenna. Richard.
I guess my only question on this one is, I'm not sure whether it filled out all of the boxes that they were supposed to fill out, unless we are using the joint application from what would be from Cindy, I guess,
Mhm.
and looking at that and following it through. Maybe I'm wrong when I look at that, but I'm not sure that it's a full application.
Did you have comments on that, Alicia? Nope, no worries. Thank you very much, Richard, and we'll move to Miranda.
I was left with a few questions about how this application articulates with Lucinda's, particularly the fact that Lucinda is noted on this application as a project coordinator, but not an artist. That's, I think, everything else that I had noted has been mentioned so far. Thanks.
Thank you. Donna?
For clarity, because I haven't gone back and looked at the other part of this as people have been chatting about. So both folks, both Lucinda and Douglas, have applied for $2,999, which is going to support in its entirety, so approximately $6,000, all of the pieces that they intend to produce, create, I guess I should be saying, so to create and put in and install at the within the Legion complex.
That's
In addition, and additionally, there are some reproductions, which I think we had asked about that question before in terms of how those are going to be used. But is that so? It's a $6,000 project that covers, and we're asking to fully fund that project between the two artists. Is that correct?
The my understanding is approximately that, although I'll defer to Alicia if there's anything I'm missing. I think where each of them has applied for their particular works as a small project. So
Sean is frozen on my end.
Yes, mine as well.
He'll sign back in, I guess.
Okay, one moment. Thanks. Okay, so our live stream, it says it's now streaming on YouTube again. I'm not sure what happened there, but I've lost connection entirely. I hope everybody else is back on comfortably. I'm just gonna double check our settings here while we wait for Sean before we hop back into conversation. Sorry about that. I'm gonna double check this is happening.
sorry about that. seem to be having some issues with the Algoma University staff secure Wi-Fi network.
Yeah, you weren't the only one, Sean.
Okay. I guess we're all back. Okay. But yes, Donna, that was my understanding. Oh, Alicia. Yeah.
Sorry, Sean, we're just double checking to make sure that we all lost connectivity. We're just going to double check to make sure that the YouTube's working correctly before we proceed.
One moment as I continue to talk to myself here. Sorry about that. It says that it's live streaming, but I'd like to find it and see that it's actually streaming before we continue.
But yeah, I do see the little icon in the corner of the page.
I just said we're all set to go. It's running correctly.
Wonderful. Thank you both for your interventions there. So Alicia, that was my understanding, was that they are independent applications but connected in the nature of the project. Is that correct?
Yes, that's also my understanding, that they can stand alone or work together either way.
Yeah.
And for clarity, Sean, and Alicia, the entire budget for the project is the $2,999 each times 2, correct? There's not I did not, as I said, I didn't go back and look at Lucinda's. However, I don't recall there being like a broader budget that had other components to it or other funding sources or et cetera. Is that?
I believe that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Now, as a committee, that's a conversation that can be held. But in terms of what's been submitted, it is eligible as submitted. Next, I have Larry.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting application. He's a very well-known and artist and well recognized, and it doesn't bother me. I've been thinking about it. It doesn't bother me that he would be showing at the same place as Ms. Hatt, was it? And when you look at his budget, it's just for him. It's an artist's fee, which I think is low if he's doing multiple works, and he says that it's all for creating watercolor paintings in the plural. So I thought it was a pretty good application.
Thanks, Larry. Any revisions to scores based on discussion? Seeing none. Oh, sorry, Brenna, I see your hand up.
No, I don't have any revisions, but I was curious as well in terms of the things that Donna had brought up. And I think in the future, we're going to have to figure out the event side of it and how that plays into it, and the creation side, and how we can kind of amalgamate the two of those in a different way. Because yeah, I think we need to be more flexible in that, but understanding that there's creation and then there's the event portion, and those are two separate portions essentially that we're trying to put together. So it does make it a little bit more complicated, but in terms of production, I think we're okay with that. But I just wanted to reiterate that I agree with Donna. It's kind of confusing with the groups.
Yeah. Larry?
I had one question I forgot to raise. We asked Ms. Hatt how many pieces she was going to be exhibiting and leaving there. And I think she said she was going to be leaving 3. I don't know if my memory serves me right. I'd be interested to know what Mr. Bradford's doing in that regard. How many pieces does he propose to show, and how many will he be leaving there? In other words, donating, I guess, to the Legion, or maybe they pay him. I don't know.
Larry, it sounds like your memory is better than mine on this front, because I am drawing a blank. Alicia, do you have
in reference to Cindy Hatt's application, that information was circulated prior to the 24th of December through email. I don't recall the exact number on that one at this time either. That being said, I'd be happy to reach out to this artist as well. It looks like Brenna might know.
Yeah, the email just said between 4 and 6 that her and her father were committed to
Ah.
creating between 4 and 6, which would be kind of that I assume the same expectation depending on size. I'm sure that they'd be in the same boat.
Thanks very much. Any other comments, questions? Changes?
This is a bargain for the community. I don't know how many of you are aware, but the Canadian Armed Forces have put him on ships to go out and paint in the ocean. What's happening, and he sold his paintings to the military. Paintings are the best known, I think, but he does all kinds of stuff locally, focuses locally. So the impact on the community is pretty good. I like Doug Bradford.
Yeah.
You can tell.
Thanks, Larry. All right, if there's no other changes, then we'll move on to item 5.18. Oh, I also should let the committee know that I do have an engagement that I can't get out of for 5:30, so I will be leaving you. And Donna, if we have quorum, I'll ask you to take over as vice chair in that event at 5:30 if we don't end before then. So item 5.18 is Matt Warnock Guitar presents Create to Connect Jazz Retreat in the Sioux. Matt Warnock Guitar is a locally based website that is North America's largest jazz guitar education website. It engages over 700 active members within its online community, and memberships span across the world. The Create to Connect Jazz Retreat is proposed to take place September 26th to 29th in 2024. This would be the first year that the event has taken place, and as such, it is planned modestly with plans for growth in subsequent years. Schedule will include daytime workshops that will culminate in 2 public events, a Friday informal jazz session in the local club, such as the Canal District's Blockhouse Pub, and a Saturday night formal concert at the Loft. Plans for live streaming as well on the Saturday. The goals and objectives of the project are directly tied to the three primary audiences, essentially the Sault Ste. Marie community at large, Algoma University music students who are focused on jazz, and the Matt Warnock Guitar members. The second objective is to incentivize Algoma University jazz students to consider the place that music has in their lives. Thirdly, to show MWG members that jazz lives in small cities and that the Sioux is a cultural destination in Canada. The audience will focus in those areas, as I mentioned, with between 200 to 300 people constituting the membership group, 10 to 12 the student group, and 20 to 30 around 230 local audience members. The applicant has indicated that this project aims to meet to appeal from ages 19 to over 75. Demographics listed as options in the application, and that approximately 251 to 500 people will view or attend the proposed activities, with 1 to 10 participants listed in supporting the project. We'll proceed with Larry first. Any comments on this application?
I thought it was an excellent application. He's a very experienced jazz educator and performer who's returned to Sault Ste. Marie. I think that's he wants to make it a jazz destination. Let's keep him.
Thanks, Larry. Donna?
I love this application. I love just the newness of it. I mean, everything that everyone's doing is really special. I think it's fantastic, and no question.
Thanks, Donna. Miranda?
Yeah, I agree with my colleagues. It was a very strong application. It includes great measures for success. So clearly somebody who understands how to write good grants, but also has a background in managing the projects that come of them. It seems to me like all the expenses supported by the grant would be for local or mostly local artists and services. There is significant investment coming from the artist himself and from anticipated ticket sales. Really, the funding is meant to help launch and pilot the event and hopefully get it off the ground for subsequent years. It's a very well thought out project plan that includes summative evaluation, which signals to me that the applicant really wants to be able to learn from the experience and build on the investment. Thank you.
Thanks, Miranda. Richard.
Yeah, Miranda, I caught that too, that he was putting some of his own hard-earned money in there. So I think it's and with lots of artists that he's paying the fees for. So it's a good application.
Thanks, Richard. Brenna, final word to you.
Yeah, I agree. It was a fantastic application and something that I hope grows and becomes permanent and becomes like, and hopefully, you know, without being musically inclined, I'd love to attend half of these things. So I think it was great.
Thank you very much. Any final revisions, comments, questions? Seeing none, item 5.19 is next. Matthew St. Pierre, Lonely Listeners Club. The Lonely Listeners Club has a primary focus on accelerating domestic talent with a primary focus in 2024 to develop the future of the music industry with local creative and aspiring industry professionals. Their initial purpose was to develop and democratize approaches to music ownership and funding via crowdsourcing while utilizing blockchain technology. Through their artist accelerator, they aspire to connect artists with various key players across the music industry, including but not limited to music supervisors, marketers, creative directors, editorial curators. And in this process, they teach them best practices to give them similar resources and operational standards comparable to major record labels, and focus on providing talent industry knowledge to assist in driving their career forward. In the upcoming year, the group is planning for events in partnership with Durham College and various other creative college programs to host panels, keynotes, and networking events with the core team and network when organizing these events. The team in Sault Ste. Marie has found various local artists that they believe can assist with the success success in their careers. With their events, panels, and keynotes planned for this year, they intend to provide open registration for volunteers in high school students willing to put forth effort to support their mission. Their goal is to incubate or accelerate one local act in 2024 with achievable goals of helping them capture 10,000 new approximately 10,000 new fans across streaming platforms. The group anticipates between 2 to 5 volunteers with support from their core team of 6 members and a community of global volunteers scaling well over 1,000 active members, if this can be accounted for. They expect to directly aid 3 to 5 artists in 2024 through their accelerator, and well over 20 artists if the opportunity is provided on a direct consultation basis locally. Brenna, start with you.
I find this application really interesting because it hits on like a key thing that we're missing. When I was reviewing Planet Rock and St. James thing, I was thinking of NFTs and how those are going to work in terms of arts and music and digital things like that, and how wonderful it would be to have a consultant that understood NFTs. for everybody else involved too. So I thought that was a really interesting and particular angle that it might be overlooked a little bit because it's not as popular right now, but is definitely going to be something that artists need in the near future. So I thought it was a really cool application.
Thanks, Brenna. Richard?
I guess a point of clarification, is this the same thing as what Adrian would have? Is that kind of what we're looking at here? Adrian Verlaka, he's got his, so is that the same type of project that we're looking at in this application? I mean,
I'm not sure what the thing is that Adrian has that
he's
you're
got,
referring to.
he's got an internet radio.
Ah,
So is that what we're dealing with here, just so that I understand the application?
my understanding is that it's focused more on like peer-to-peer support, or I should say maybe not peer-to-peer, but you know, capacity development and professional development of specifically musicians. Alicia, do you want to elaborate?
No, just more or less to support you there, that yes, that's my understanding of it as well. That it's an accelerator, it's used to help promote new acts. One local act will be promoted from within the region, so to speak. And then there'll also be other opportunities for other artists that are fledgling, I guess, and that could use this type of free mentorship, basically.
Oh, I think I know where the confusion is. This term accelerator is basically a workshop.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Richard. I wasn't picking it up at first. Miranda.
Yes. Sorry, my notes just flew in a window over to the other side of my computer screen. I found that I appreciate the summary because I found that this application, just the way that it was written, was a little unclear, and I found myself getting very confused about what specifically was being offered. So your summary has helped to clarify some of that for me, Sean. Thank you. For me, the budget seemed unclear in terms of which expenses are supported by which funding, and there must be more funding beyond ACAP based on expenses, but it's not listed there.
Oh, I see Alicia might have some.
A piece on this application that again, so it was submitted initially under under a stacking grant under cultural diversity and under small projects. But that at this point in time, they weren't eligible to submit under cultural diversity. So I think that some of the expenses may not be different, and they've chosen not to move forward and change their budget at all at this point. So again, it's still just for $2,999, and if that's unclear, I think that might be the confusion piece.
Okay. Thank you. I do wish that they had been a little bit more clear just in terms of organizing the application, particularly recognizing that not everybody who's adjudicating the applications is an expert. I also would have really liked on that note to hear a little bit more about the people behind Lonely Listeners Club. But yeah, I'm kind of a nosy grant reviewer, so the more information and the better organized, the better for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Miranda. Donna.
Brenna, what is an NFD? That is a term that I am not familiar with. Can you help me with that?
It's a non-fungible token, I guess, is how the official word for it. But so you can own things within a digital realm. I guess you can own imagery, you can own music, you can own all of these things through like a blockchain system, and people collect or purchase NFTs. So if let's just say for an album artwork, which is the area that I know it better in, if they purchase the NFT, they're purchasing that to be in part of their collection. They're allowed to use it the way that they'd like. The artist gets their credit for it, but it is in a crypto type of environment where you purchase these NFTs and they have their digital values. But it's something that I would like to learn a lot more about as well. I have a general understanding, but the actual functionality of it, I haven't explored. So I just know there's people with collections of NFTs. It's essentially digital stamped or copyrighted materials that are sold through a digital platform. So little animations and anything music or anything that's solely digital. It's the market that surrounds that, I believe. And anyone can clarify.
Interesting.
But
Okay. All right, that's a new term. I really struggled with this, and I in looking at the budget, there's office rental in that budget for $36,000, and a line item that references $80,000, and I personally didn't score this above. Is the threshold 9 or 8? I can't remember, but I scored it below that, so I don't know if everyone else or I don't know what is the score for that overall. Sean or Alicia?
Oh, let me just pull it up here. I'm sorry.
Jump in.
The-
Currently sitting at a 10.12.
right.
Okay.
So-
I just really struggled with it. I couldn't quite understand where, I was trying to understand maybe in my own traditional terms, is this someone who's trying to be an agent or build I know mentor maybe is a better word, or agent, or combination thereof, but then I really got lost in the numbers, because when you add up the numbers in the budget, they just don't really completely jive the way I interpreted them. And those are my comments.
Thanks, Donna. And as you mentioned it, I realized I should have been sharing the summary here on my screen. So you can see that you're right that 9 is our sort of cutoff threshold. Each of these applications is above a 9 right now, and this one, number 19, is at the 10.12 mark that Alicia mentioned.
Thank you.
Larry, final word to you.
I thought it was an interesting application, different from what we've normally I've seen since I've been with the committee. I couldn't help thinking that Mr. Seath, Rock Planet, or whatever they call it, should connect with these folks, might benefit. But my big question was, what experience do Matthew St. Pierre and Everton Lewis Jr. have? Who are they? I have wanted a little more insight into that.
Agreed.
I'm gonna pop in for just a second. While I agree with you, Larry, I was going to say that in the application, this is a bit of an extrapolation, but if you look into the email address fields, they're Racket Music. I believe is the name of the company that they support. I believe this is an offshoot of that. That information, further information to support that, wasn't included in the application.
So who are they?
I believe that is still a question. But thank you all for your comments. Are there any revisions to scores based on the discussion to date? Larry?
No, I would bump mine down to, I'm tempted to say 8, but I'll say 9.
All right, let me see if I can do that.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no, this is the whole point. No need to apologize. If anything, I'm excited to do something after the discussions. All right. So thank you for the revision. Next we have item 5.2 has been withdrawn. Item 5.21 is Michael Natham, Creaturehood. This is a small project grant for $2,999 with project activities taking place throughout 2024 and ending in November. Michael Natham is a local artist. The project focuses on script writing, which is the primary focus of the request for funding. But he is also involved in media arts and voice acting in performing arts. So the project is intended to be comprised of a series of 5 short, 5 to 8 minute each edutainment video essays. They're hosted and narrated by an animated moose of his own creation, voiced by Michael Natham, and accompanied by various motion graphics and animations. The deliverables from the project will be 5 scripts for the essays, which should total somewhere between 30 and 40 pages in length. The benefits to the community include seeing regional aesthetics reflected. The CGI set will be designated to specifically resemble the geography and habitat of Northern Ontario ecologies, especially boreal forest. And on an economic level, this project hopes to be the beginning of a larger animated series that showcases more closely the life and cultures of Northern Ontario. The project intends to reach and influence young people, particularly between the ages of 17 and 25. And the videos will be posted on YouTube and Vimeo and hosted on separate websites. The viewership is estimated at over 2,500. The artist will require voice recording technicians from local studios and the editing of an Indigenous consultant, namely Jessica Baldock, and an original musical score by the composer. Larry, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, I thought it was not a bad application. The applicant seems to be very experienced in the genre and capable. And I thought it was a good one.
Thanks, Larry. Donna?
I did not score this one above the threshold. Again, this is another one that I really struggled with in terms of the budget side. So it appears from, if I read it correctly, that the entire project was going to be the amount of the grant of $2,999. 1/3 of that is going towards office rent, which I just don't quite understand. Maybe that's a temporary thing, etc. I don't know where, like, it just seems to be an interesting thing to have in there. It's a very limited budget, and to spend 1/3 of it on rent, it's just a question I would have. And I was unclear as to whom so 50% of that budget of $1,500 is going towards the fees to Mr. Natham himself, or the fees for him plus for others who are going to do the voiceover. That was a bit unclear to me. So once again, I just really struggled with that in general, like in terms of the funds, and then sort of what happens to it after. I'm seeing that it's going to be published on the internet and YouTube and Vimeo and whatever. And is there any type of potential or thought around it? Could there be funds returned from that? Like, could it be revenue generating in some way? Like some more specific, even if it can't be incredibly specific, but details around, how does this get out in the world, and how would it be measured, and in terms of the creating awareness and appreciating Northern Ontario and so ever. So for those reasons, I really struggled with it, and I did not score it above the threshold.
Thanks, Donna. Miranda?
Yeah, the budget was the sticking point on this application for me as well. I think that the details are very sparse. We would have benefited from having more information about the items in the budget. In particular, I noticed the item for printing and the item for equipment. If those printing costs are being funded and if the equipment is purchased equipment and a capital expense, then we need quotes for those items. I also noticed that there is Indigenous consultation being sought, but there is no honorarium or fee going to that consultant, which I think is problematic. Thank you.
Thank you, Miranda. Richard.
No further comments.
Thank you very much. Brenna.
I found it to be very interesting. Is I hope that they illustrated that this funding would only get them so far. And I guess the difficulty is the whole scope of the project when it comes. So this would be the creation and development portion, I would assume, and then they'd have to come back to us in terms of pushing it forward and doing those things. Like Donna said, I don't think they can do all of those under one budget. I'd also hope that some of that space included some equipment that would make it more reasonable to rent a space temporarily for like 3 weeks so that you can use all of the equipment in the studio and things like that. But if that's not made clear, then I can see why it's confusing. But the process, I can see the development and the creation as being a very important portion, and that's how far this will likely go. And then I could anticipate them coming back to do the final portions, working with CBC, trying to get these essays out. I personally love a video essay, like a 5-minute thing. So I think it's a great project, but yeah, it's going to have to use another influx of cash to get it there. I would agree with that.
Thanks, Brenna. Any changes to scores on this application? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item, which is 5.22, which is Rebecca Heron's application for the archaeology project. Rebecca Heron is a mixed-race Latina filmmaker requesting $2,999 for the archaeology project, which will be a short film about a group of elementary students who follow their teacher as they set off on a magical field trip. The estimated viewership will exceed 2,500 people, with estimated participants in the range of 11 to 25, with impacts across all of the cultural plan's impact priorities. It's expected to reach local, regional, and international audiences as the project can be accessed online through YouTube and other media. It will be promoted through the artist's website as well as social media, including Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, along with press releases to local media and submissions to film festivals, which the artist has been successful in being accepted to in previous works that they've created as well. The budget will fund $1,000 in artist fees and contribute to the $1,750 for the editor, $875 to the sound recordist, and $1,000 to the camera operator, with the amounts of the request from the city constituting about 12% of the total project budget. Brenna, I think we left off with you last. Is that right? I'm losing my mind here. Please share any comments that you have.
No, I thought it was a great application. I have a lot of faith in the applicant to be able to pull this off and get it fully funded and things like that. So the history of this work has really come through and been fairly successful. So I have faith in that artist's ability to be able to manage this and pull it off successfully. And I think it's an awesome project to get an intergenerational combination going on. So those are my feedbacks. I thought it was a good application.
Thanks, Brenna. Richard.
I'm glad you clarified that, Sean, is because I saw the budget, it was like $24,000, and I thought it was one of those things again where things were screwed up. So, I mean, this is a big budget and we're only asked for that amount of money. So, yeah. Good project.
Thanks, Richard. Miranda?
My only question is about the start date of the project. I see on the application that the project start date is November 15th, 2023. So I'm assuming that means that any funds that are awarded through this program would apply only to expenses incurred in the 2024 period. Okay, thanks. I see you nodding, Alicia. Thank you.
Thanks for that clarification, Miranda. Donna?
So on the budget side of this one, I mean, I love this project. I think it's really beautiful. But my concern is on a $25,000 budget, you know, they're looking to us to provide call it $3,000. And most of the other expenses, if not all the other expenses, are either labeled sponsor or cash. And it's unclear to me whether these sponsors or where, I don't know, to give or take $12,000 in cash comes from. But I'd certainly like to know more about what other potential sources of funding there are. And I think that this has come up in other applications where you know, there's nothing there to indicate what is pending. If other applications to other levels of government or other sources of funding are in place and would be, you know, layered together to allow the project to proceed. Those are my comments.
Thanks, Donna. And I don't know if it will clarify things, but my understanding of the convention of when cash is used in that context is that it's typically the artist's own money that's being invested. But I think it's something that, you know, that's an assumption I'm making, right? It wasn't spelled out in yeah.
It would be good to get that clarified just to understand, because that is a significant commitment on behalf of the artist. Additionally to that, which I forgot to mention, is that artist has, if I'm reading properly, that artist has deferred their own fee. So if that cash is being provided by Rebecca, then not only is Rebecca investing in this project, Rebecca is you know, choosing to pay herself at a later date for her contribution.
Larry, last word.
I thought it was a great concept. I had shared the concerns about budget. I had the same question, so I won't plow the same field. But I had one other concern. It says that we'll explore the Clergue Blockhouse during the fur trade. I don't think the Clergue Blockhouse had much to do with the fur trade. The bottom level of the blockhouse that's all rock, has a door but no windows, was built, I think, in around 1819, 20. It was a powder storage for the Northwest Company. Its real claim to fame is Francis H. Clergue taking interest in it and really restoring the whole thing, in the interior, taking it just from a storage shed and then putting the second level on. So I think, I don't know what she intends to show how the blockhouse was used during the fur trade, because I don't think it was, and I don't think the Northwest Company was very active in fur trade in this area at the time. So
I think I can
it
probably
crossed my mind that I might be a bit embarrassed if as a funder.
Just to provide some historical context there, the HBC took possession of the lot after the merger of the Northwest Company and the HBC in the early 1800s. The exact date escapes me, but I think it's somewhere around 1820. And it was still actively used during the fur trade, although it was certainly the waning days of the fur trade in the early 1800s, but it was still actively used for those purposes right up until when William Robinson came to the community to negotiate the treaties. So it was still in active use by the HBC throughout that early period. So I think
it was an ammunition.
It is a powder keg, yeah. Or sorry,
powder.
not powder keg, powder store or whatever the
Storage,
term.
whatever.
Yeah. So the Clerg portion wouldn't come till later, but the Powder Magazine, I think is what they called it.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, did we start with Larry or did we end with Larry?
You ended with me.
Thank you, Larry. Really, okay, I've got to go, folks. But before that, are there any revisions to scores or anything that related to Rebecca's application? Nope. Okay, so with that, will you retain quorum after I leave?
I don't believe that we will, which is okay.
No. Okay, I was gonna say, Donna, if you were, I can email you or put it in the chat, the summaries that I made for the other two. But I'm sorry, folks. I am really sorry. But yeah, I will take off. I don't know if you have any housekeeping issues to deal with, Alicia, afterwards, but I'll leave you to it. Okay,
Okay.
take care.
Thank you. With Alicia, without quorum, are we allowed to like discuss? I would just like to know like what's next is all the only questions I had. Like when will we pick this up again, or do we even know right now? And excuse me, perhaps there's meetings in my agenda that I'm not remembering. And you know, how do we close the circle on this in terms of the actual next part of it, which becomes making some decisions?
I see Virginia.
If we can't talk about that, about that now, I understand.
Yeah, we can't discuss any business right now since we've lost quorum, so the meeting's technically adjourned. But we will send out a doodle poll because we are going to have to close that loop. So watch for some more correspondence from Alicia and I over the next couple of days to try to set another meeting date.
And Donna, if you could officially move to adjourn, that would be great. And provide a second.
I'd be
we
pleased to do
can't
that.
adjourn.
Oh, we can't adjourn? I thought we had to like.
No,
adjourn.
we have nobody to adjourn, so the meeting's adjourned due to lack of quorum. We can't take a vote on it,
Okay.
right?
Alrighty
So,
then.
just quickly, so we'll send out correspondence, so please watch for that, and thank you for all of your time and efforts. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you.
Night.